It is the 582nd year.
The Elder Scrolls Online is the latest chapter of the award-winning franchise, and it's the first time the series has allowed fans to adventure online. Published by Bethesda but produced by ZeniMax Studios, the game was initially released on the 4th of April 2014 for the PC, and was then later released for the PS4 and the Xbox One. The game was not initially received greatly, with many expecting but not getting the sequel to Skyrim that they wanted, with added online play. With sales and subscriptions slowly dwindling, ZeniMax decided to make the game free to play, re-releasing as Tamriel Unlimited. This patch, along with many before it, changed the game in many ways, introducing many of the features fans come to expect when playing an Elder Scrolls game. The game continued to receive regular updates and is considered to be a much improved game over the initial release product. I've been playing the game now for several hours, and I feel I can offer my brief first impressions of the game. Please remember that this is just a first impressions and not a review. Just as in any of the other Elder Scrolls games, you are given the opportunity to create a character to adventure with. In line with the series, many of the races are present, including Redguards, Orcs, Khajiits, Argonians, and others. As with other MMOs, each race has racial passives and skills. From there, customization options appear to be a basic selection of hairstyles, tattoos, and face or body sliders. It's not the best customization system on offer, and it is nowhere near the level of detail found in other games such as Black Desert Online, but it does get the job done. One nice feature was the ability to preview what your character would look like in high-level gear set before committing. Once you have completed your character, you get to choose one of the 4 classes: the Dragon Knight, which is similar to Death Knights in World of Warcraft, the Nightblade, which is pretty much a rogue or a ranger, the Sorcerer, which plays the part of the mage or warlock, and then the Templar, which is most like a paladin in other games. The Elder Scrolls is a bit different from most MMOs in that the classes are general guidelines as opposed to a hard lock. If you put your points in the right skills, your Templar can be a healer and not a tank, or your Dragon Knight can primarily be a magic user. This gives the game a great sense of choice in how your character develops, and within the 4 classes offers many different styles of play. I have not got far enough into the game to see how effective each build can be, or if you are completely gimped if you don't follow what is considered to be the best skills or route to take your character. However, if you are not bothered by min-maxing, this is a strong feature of the game. I further enjoyed the ability to morph my skills into 2 options later in the game, which again give you more flexibility to your build. The game opens up with your typical tutorial, showing you the basic controls of the game as well as some of its features. Story-wise, you start off as a prisoner and is released as the world is in peril and is in need of saving. The story may be what you would expect, but the quests are mostly all voice acted, with the voice acting being decent enough. Similar to other games in the series, you get to choose what you want to say back to the non-player characters, often being able to delve deeper into story or just finding out more about who you are talking to. It does help to create the world around you and is added depth for those that want it.
Hello, what's this? Sir Cadwell, yes, indeed, a pleasure. And fair Lyris, good to see you, my dear. How are you? Oh dear, oh dear.
Once the tutorial is complete, I was put into the world for real, alongside other players vying to complete their quests and level up their characters. The world itself seemed large, even the starter island, and graphically speaking, whilst not the best, was good, with some nice views, interesting environments, and all the other little added touches you expect, like critters roaming on by. The game is a few years old now, but I was still able to play it at 4K at a mostly consistent 60 frames per second when not recording. Spell effects and combat animations were good, and kept me visually engaged. The game offers all of the standard features you would expect from an MMO. Questing had your standard hub-to-hub feel, but was kept interesting by the fact that I could find quests randomly whilst exploring, and that I could quest anywhere, wherever I wanted, as quests seemed to scale to my level. This is great for those wanting to play with friends that may have been in the game longer than you. Questing often involved talking to a non-player character, interacting with items on the floor, or killing a set number of mobs as is standard. I often found letters around the area that hinted to other quests nearby, and the lore surrounding the quests were interesting enough and often added to the overall narrative. If you don't like theme park MMOs, you are not going to have your opinion changed. However, it was fun to me and felt natural to explore the zones any way I wanted, completing quests as I go. The game also includes quests from popular guilds found in the main series, such as the Mages Guild or the Fighters Guild, which should please fans of the series. Finding my way around the zones was also easy, thanks in part to a pretty decent map system. I was able to see all points of interest in a zone, select different areas to view, and also set waypoints for me to follow. The game also has a compass system at the top of the screen which shows points of interest direction and will also change to blue when I am in an area required for a given quest. As expected, the game also offers crafting, and I found it to be quite useful early on in the game, being able to make some decent items for my low level character. The crafting is similar to that found in other games, with professions such as blacksmithing, tailoring and alchemy, but it does mix it up a little bit with the ability to use more or less materials affecting the item level, or changing the design of the item from across all the different factions, and the ability to rename items, adding personal flair and attachment to your crafts. The game also offers the ability to dye your armour, further enhancing your customization options. A nice feature of the crafting system is the ability to use items that are within your bank, both saving inventory space and time trekking across the map to fetch materials. Gathering was your typical fare, clicking on nodes such as iron to gather metal, logs for wood, and plants or insects for alchemy supplies. The game has other MMO features you would expect, such as banks, mounts, chat systems, and the usual gear progression loot system, which should make players from other games feel instantly at home. Though after chatting to players in-game it may not have been the case at launch, The Elder Scrolls Online does have many features found in the single-player games. Players are able to read books found in the wild, search and loot containers, chests, and even steal from other players thanks to the inclusion of the Thieves Guild. Other little aspects are present too, such as the sneaking that affect critical hits, or the ability to steal, and the lockpicking minigame used to unlock chests. First-person view is also included for purists. Along with the ability to engage in conversations with many non-player characters, and the ability to quest where you want whilst not to the same scale of Skyrim, the game does feel in part like an Elder Scrolls game. Combat in the game was mostly fun and engaging. Whilst animations of responsiveness did not feel as good as World of Warcraft, or as frenetic as WildStar at times, I had fun time due to the ability to use many different weapon styles as I went along, switching how I played the game on a regular basis. The combat involves using a left button for light or heavy attacks, and the right mouse button to block, just like in other games of the series. Players can roll out of the way or stun players at the right times, and skills are used just like any other MMO from the hotbar, though you can only have a certain amount of skills slotted at one time, similar to WildStar. I found that during combat it was important to block and evade, especially against tougher mobs. If I didn't, I would often be quickly squished. While I enjoyed the combat, it does lack the clunk and feel of the main games, lacking any weight or conviction. The game can be played mostly solo, although I did enjoy grouping up with other players, each helping to complete quests at a quicker pace. There is a group finder that seemed easy enough to use for those that have played other MMOs, though I was only able to try one of the low-level dungeons in the game. The dungeon was typical of that found in other games, but was fun and I enjoyed the group dynamics that other players brought to the table. Player versus player is also available in the game on a separate map and involves players fighting over towers and territory, though I was unable to try this so I cannot comment on how balanced or fun it feels. The game is of course free to play, with a cash shop implemented to earn revenue. Most of the items I saw in the cash shop were convenience items such as extra bank space or cosmetic items such as costumes or different skin mounts. The biggest thing being sold in the cash shop were the expansions. The game offers a subscription for keen players which gives benefits to the players each month. It was nice to be able to preview the content such as mounts before buying, and there seemed to be a lot of useful, but not pay-to-win items. It was also nice to hear from current players that the expansions were not deemed necessary for new players to enjoy the game. Overall, I enjoyed my time in the game. The combat was fun, the questing was interesting enough if you like theme park games, and I really enjoyed the option to go anywhere and do anything I wanted. The game can be played mostly solo, though there are dungeons and world bosses to go for, and I imagine the best PvP comes from organised groups. The game did not seem pay to win, and though levelling rates can be increased by becoming a sub, patient players shouldn't need to worry about this. The game appears to be constantly updated with the latest expansions looking like housing, and ZeniMax does keep enough to keep players returning. I enjoyed all the little references to the Elder Scrolls main games, though this game should definitely be seen as a spin-off and not a direct sequel. Thanks again for watching. Again, this is my first adventure into YouTube and would love to hear your suggestions on how to move forward. See you all next time.